The Blast from Our Past Network.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for chills and thrills await you. It's time for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Stay with a friend, say your prayers as grisly ghouls close in to seal your doom, and enjoy this bonus episode of Podcasting After Dark.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another bonus episode of Podcasting After Dark. Co-host Corey here, flying solo and finishing up my review extravaganza of the Silent Night, Deadly Night sequels. And if you've listened to parts 3 and parts 4, if you listen to those mini reviews, you know it's been a bit of a mixed bag. I kind of wanted to really kickstart my holiday, festive season and getting into the spirit of things. And part 3 didn't really do that for me. Part 4 was a lot more fun than part 3, but it wasn't very festive. It wasn't very Christmassy. And now we are finishing things up with part 5, The Toy Maker. It's directed by Martin Kitrosser, and with some writing duties by Brian Usna, and I believe he produced it as well. But this one now features Mickey fucking Rooney. Mickey Rooney as, this movie's basically Geppetto and Pinocchio. He plays this toy store owner named Joe Petto, so Geppetto, and he has a son named Pinocchio. You get it. It's not hard to figure out. What is kind of hard to figure out is the killing, like why somebody wants to try and kill kids, especially Derek, played by William Thorne. I kind of get why you'd want to kill Derek. He's a bit of a dweeb. And after watching his stepfather get killed, brutally murdered in the living room, he kind of stops talking. So, maybe that was better for the film. Who knows? But this was a weird one, guys and gals. First off, I got to say, I watched this when I was a kid. I do remember that. I couldn't, tell you like what happened, or anything. I hadn't seen it. This came out in 1991. I probably saw it when I was like 13 or something, probably when it first came out on VHS. All I remembered about it was there was this, I guess, and it turns out it's Pino. All I could remember was there was this guy in it who had no genitalia because he was like, a wooden boy or robot or whatever, and it turns out to, he's like a robot and he has no genitalia. And he tries to have sex with Jane Higginson's character, Sarah, while also telling her to be his new mommy. I have more thoughts on that later, and actually so does my wife. But this movie is very Christmassy. Like this one of the three, of parts 3, 4, and 5, this one is definitely the most Christmas-centric. It still takes place in SoCal, so, give or take, your mileage with that. I still prefer the first movie. I think it was like South Dakota or something like that. Because, there's actually snow and everything. And even when I lived in LA for 15 or 16 years, it never felt like Christmassy to me for it to be so warm and everything. But, this one being actually like, Christmassy, I actually kind of enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Now, don't take that by me saying it's a good movie, because it's a weird fucking film and it makes some interesting choices. But I was much more engaged with it than I definitely was with part 3. And even going into part 4, knowing that it was kind of a fan favorite for people, I had a hard time connecting with it. This one, I actually had more fun. I don't know if I technically like it better than part 4. I think part 4 is a better movie, but this is a better Christmas movie. Screaming Mad George does the effects again, like he did with part 4. And, I actually kind of liked Jane Higginson, and like sort of what she was doing in the movie as the mom for little Derek. But what this movie does really weirdly, but also kind of interesting and cool, we have Neith Hunter reprising her role as Kim. And also Conan Yuzna reprising his role as Lonnie, who was Lonnie was in part 4. I kind of didn't talk too much about him. He was the younger brother of Kim's boyfriend that gets killed, and she was going to go sacrifice Lonnie, but she kind of saves him, kind of ends up protecting him. And, there's the only thing that's mentioned in this film is when Kim is talking to Sarah, she's like, oh, I've had some weird shit happen to me too. But like, it is her name. Like, she's playing that character Kim, and they don't tell you why, but you can only assume she adopted Lonnie, and now they live in the suburbs because Lonnie's parents and older brother were all killed in part 4. I think that's really cool. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, the fact that they kind of like don't really put it in your face, it's almost like just there for the fans. And I'm like, that's kind of a neat thing. Now, weirdly, Clint Howard reprises his role as Ricky, but I mean, I don't know. He looks more cleaned up and everything, and he died at the end of part 4. I'm just going to say he's a separate character. I'm going to say he's a different character, but Neith Hunter and Conan Yuzna are, as Kim and Lonnie, are the same characters. I'm going to say, in my head canon, that's what that is. There's this little bait and switch with Tracy Fraim playing Noah Adams. You think maybe he's the killer and everything in the movie, and you find out, whatever. He's little Derek's dad, but he doesn't know he's dad. He kind of suspects, type of thing. It's interesting shit. Like, it's actually kind of fun. Mickey Rooney, I mean, he's fucking Mickey Rooney, and he's old. It is what it is. Now, I will say, because he owns a toy store, there's some cool ass toys in there that I'm watching the movie and I'm like, holy shit. There is on the back wall a licensed, official licensed Firebirds movie toy of an Apache helicopter. Remember the movie Firebirds? About the helicopters? About the Apache helicopters? And we actually interviewed Teague. He was in that movie. He was the bad guy in Roadhouse. And he was in that movie, and I actually brought it up to him. And I was like, dude, Firebirds. Anyways, that was in there. Like, you see one of that giant play set for Starriers, the box for that in the background. Even little Derek is watching a VHS copy of the Rambo cartoon. It's on full display. It's fantastic. So this movie has so many fun things going for it. But then at the end of the day, what really sort of hammered it home for me is Brian Bremer as Pino. I thought he did a great job as being super weird. At first you're like, okay, maybe he's just sort of weird, childlike type of thing, even though, he's in his 20s or whatever. But then by the end of the movie, when there's the reveal of him being, this demented Pinocchio, he winds up killing his dad, Joe Petto, Mickey Rooney. It's like he basically wants to kill Derek so that Sarah can be his mom. And, he actually reveals himself by taking off his clothes, revealing his wooden body, his genitalless wooden body with her, and attempts to rape her while saying, I want you to be my mommy now. It is fucking insane. And I'm watching this movie, and as I'm watching this fucking scene, my wife walks in from work, and she's like, what is this? And I was like, oh, this is a stupid-ass movie. This is Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 5. She was like, no fucking way. She was like, so basically she saw this movie when she was 5 years old. This rape scene traumatized the fuck out of her as a kid. And she literally, she's 36 now. She's 37. Anyways, she's literally trying for the past 30 years, trying to figure out what this movie was that she saw when she was 5. So she's like, oh my fucking God. I'm like, yeah. I was like, okay, she's like, this fucking movie has been in my, living rent-free in her trauma for 30 fucking years. And she walks in on that exact scene. It is a wild scene. So now we get my wife's trauma. We've heard a lot about my trauma as a kid and being scared of, the Blob remake. I'm watching the little boy getting blobbed because I was his age. And then Zach's infinite amount of traumas. And now we have my wife's trauma. There was a fun little, probably the best, kill scene, gore scene is Derek's babysitter and her boyfriend midway through the movie get attacked by a bunch of toys. It's a fun scene. It's kind of gory, even though weirdly the girl survives. a lot of damage. Like, she takes a shit ton of damage and she still survives. It's pretty fucking crazy. But yeah, like, I don't know, for some reason, like, this one just kind of like got me. Like, I was fucking entertained throughout the entire movie. Again, do not take this as me saying it's a good film. Just compared to part 3, the wet noodle that was part 3, part 4, maybe I went in with too much expectation, but then I liked it more than I probably would have if I hadn't seen part 3 before it. Part 4 is kind of complicated. It is kind of complicated because it's not Christmassy, and I really want a Christmas horror movie to be fucking Christmassy. But this one kind of got a lot of things right. I mean, it's still a massive, massive fucking departure from part 1 and even part 2. But at this point, it's a whole new, I would say it's a whole new timeline because, you know, part 4 and part 5, I don't think are technically going to be in the same timeline as parts 1, 2, and 3 because in part 4, they're watching a scene from part 3 in it. So I think these are just its own timeline. So in theory, so maybe Silent Night, Deadly Nights parts 1, 2, and 3 are just movies you can rent in this one. So yeah, I kind of like it. I feel sort of happy that I went out on a positive note with this one. I think this one's a lot of fun. The gore's pretty decent, and the ending is just absolutely fucking batshit insane. Brian Bremer, man, you fucking crushed it as Pino, especially when you're going crazy at the end. It's like his performance is like almost everything I wanted from Clint Howard in part 4, and I get it. It's you know, that's not what they were going for. Clint Howard played his role differently, but it was almost like that's sort of what I was sort of like expecting and maybe wanting. So yeah, check this one out if you haven't in a while. If anything, check it out for my wife's trauma. And I do still plan on watching the remake and doing a mini review for that one. So I'm very excited about that. And like I mentioned in the last episode, I don't think I'll get to the Silent Night remake. What was it, coming out in 2011 or something like that? But if I can somehow squeeze it in, I will certainly try. But since it doesn't have the full title and name, I kind of feel okay about not. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed these. I kind of, you know, this wasn't planned. I wasn't expecting to do this. But, you know, after having a hard time getting in the Christmas mood, I wanted to kickstart it for better or worse. That caused this to happen to you and me both. So I hope you enjoyed it. And, you know, if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star review on Spotify. Hey, leave a comment on Spotify. That actually really helps boost the algorithm and everything. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment there. Let me know, you know, what you thought of parts 3, 4, and 5, you know. So Spotify, YouTube, if you're listening on Patreon, you know, keep the conversation going. And thank you to all our patrons out there who do support the show. You guys rock. If you want to sign up to the $5 tier, everybody, we have a show called A Tour de Force, where basically Zach and I go through an auteur's full filmography from beginning to end. We started with John Carpenter. We cover a new movie each month. We don't necessarily break it down, but we kind of look at it in, you know, the greater context of their other movies and how it sort of holds up in that regard. John Carpenter was first. Then we went on to Don Coscarelli. Now we're about done with William Lustig, and we're going to be moving on to another auteur after that. Maybe Larry Cohen. We're discussing ideas, so we'll see. But, all right, guys and gals, I hope you enjoyed this little mini review of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 5, Toy Maker. And as always, I'll end it with a, ho, 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 little Derek. We'll catch you on the dark side.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. You can support the show by joining our Patreon page, picking up a t-shirt from our merch store, or leaving us a 5-star review. Follow us on Instagram at Podcasting After Dark. All links can be found on our website at www.podcastingafterdark.com. And join us next time for another cult movie or TV show review with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.